Hey, welcome back to Two Guys in the Outdoors. Jason.
And Bob.
So we're getting back to working on our bow. Okay. Matter of fact, this episode's we're going to look at Jason's bow.
Yep.
So
we're gonna be filing in the nocks on the end of the limbs for the tillering string. We're going to show you how to settle up on the tillering rack properly before you start that tillering process. And then after that, we're going to be showing you the meats and the potatoes of this whole process, and that's the tillering process. Because if you get in a hurry in the tillering process, you can ruin your bow. And trust me, any bow you're out there, if they have not broke a bow, they haven't made very many bows. So anyway, we're hoping to be successful during this video series, and hopefully we can give you some tips and tricks on how to tiller your bow and make it a shootable bow without destroying it. So stay tuned.
So the next show after this one, you'll see the beginning and the end of the tillering process. Jason's has been in the form.
So you can see we've got some, I'll hold it to my green shirt here. We've got some back set that's gonna make our self long bows, give them more power, more efficient, shoot a little bit faster. So my bow is ready for the tillering rack. So we got some floor tiller, kind of hard for you all to see, but we got the limbs starting to bend just by putting pressure on the floor. And so we are ready to file in the knocking points on the end of the limbs for the string to attach to. So we're going to show them that. Yep. And we'll show them the wall tiller and how we're going to settle up on there, getting it ready for the tillering process. Okay. And then we'll do a separate video on the tillering process.
Yeah, the tillering is a much longer.
The most important. It's the most important.
That's where you're going to get your draw weight and everything, and getting it to bend right and get your power. So.
Yeah, so that's, you can take all of this work and ruin it during the tillering process. So the tillering process is something that's got to be, it's slow and tedious, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So
now you may think we're doing it kind of different or out of place. Jason, he told you earlier that he's retired his last one that he made. Okay, and so we've got a little over a month before archery season starts. Okay, so he wants to get this through the tillering, get some arrows through it, get some arrows tuned to it, and get it all set up, get comfort with it before the season starts. So we got little over a month before
for me to finish this bow and build arrows for it and learn to shoot it properly.
Learn to shoot it, because every bow is a little bit different. Yeah. So we're going to step back from mine because I didn't have a plan to go out and hunt with it early in the season. I'm using my bear, and I might use mine late season hunts. Okay, but we need to get on his now.
Yep. So it's time.
It's past time. All right.
Did we coordinate today?
Pretty much. It's Green Day. We're getting environmentally in tune.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
As we're cutting down trees and making bows out of them.
Hey,
renewable resources.
They were fine. So welcome back, Two Guys in the Outdoors. Bob,
Jason.
Okay, and we're going with part 3.
I have no idea.
Part 4.
somewhere in the bow making process.
Yeah, and the next step. So first off, you've seen how we selected it. You've seen me pull a lot of, or we kind of designed the bow and then pulled a lot of material off. Got it down to like this. See how there was a lot of material.
Started out with.
So it started off looking like this, okay? This long, and now it looks like this. Okay?
Starting to look like a bow.
So for mine is ready to put on the form that puts the backside on. Okay, the bend to it. Okay, what Jason's gonna do is actually, you can see he's already marked where he wants his knocking point.
So what I do is I've already filed in this side, and then I take measurements from this side. Basically, I like to come in about 3/4 of an inch to the center of my knocking point for my string. So I've got that marked, and what I do is we're just going to use a chainsaw file for sharpening a chainsaw. This is what I use.
Any round
Yeah,
file.
I mean, you can cut them in with a die grinder if you wanted. I don't know, but we're doing it all primitive. I like to use a chainsaw file because I can control it. Now, it's very important that you angle your knocking point to the belly of the bow. So this is the back of the bow, which is facing away from you. This is the belly of the bow, which is facing you when you draw the bow. So you want to make sure that you angle that toward the belly of the bow. That way, when you're drawing the bow, the limbs are going to be pulling back this way. If you're not paying attention, you can cut them in the wrong way, and then you got to deal with that. So make sure that you're cutting them in the right way. So I'm going to come in here on my mark, and I just put my thumb against it. Go ahead and start my cut. And once I get it started to where it's going to stay in place, then we can go ahead and start running that in there. Now I run this in about the depth of my file. So
Now, how wide is the tip of that limb?
the tip of my limb right now is probably a 1/2 inch. But when we're done with the bow, it's going to be narrower than that. So I want to cut my nocks in good and deep.
So you figure that file that he's got there is what, maybe 3/16 of an inch?
Yeah, I think it is a 3/16 file.
Yeah, so a 1/2 inch, and he's taking 3/16 out of each side, roughly.
Yep. And my tip of my bow is flexing, so it's grabbing the file, but that's okay. That's normal. So I get it down to where, the top of that file is pretty much flush with my wood. So you can see that I've got a nice deep knocking point. All right. So that's one side. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. And Bob's going to come over here on this side of me just so I'm poking with the bow.
And that part gets edited out.
And y'all notice I'm using a piece of leather to protect my bow. All right. Now here's how I do the other side is I lay another file in that groove. And then what I do is I come in here on top. I line this file up with the bottom file. Again, I use my thumb to guide my file. This way, I am matching this cut to the other cut. I'm sure there's a million different ways of doing it, but so once I get that started, then I can come in here and really go after it. You can spin your file because your file will get clogged up with wood dust. So again, I'm checking my depth.
Now, you made a good point when we were talking about mine. A lot of people may think that there's a lot of strain right there. That's where all the work is being done, is at that knocking point.
And actually, it's not that much pressure up here. All this is a holding point, so you can really make your knocks really thin up here, and it'll be good and durable.
And if you notice on some bows, especially, other bowyers, or you see it on TV a lot, where they'll make them very decorative.
Yep.
Right.
They'll put horn tipped or antler tipped. They do all kinds of decorative stuff.
Okay.
All right, so I've got my knocking points in. I get my files lined up. That way I can kind of see what I've got a good alignment. And if you notice, these edges are really sharp. So I just take some sandpaper, and you want to just round those sharp edges off because they will cut your string. And we're just temporarily doing this for the tillering process, but you want to round those off with some sandpaper. Just run your fingers across them, and they're not nowhere near as sharp as what they were, and that's what we want. I'll even do that on this upper side too.
Let's just keep the string from snagging them.
Yeah, they'll if you don't round them off, they are hard on a string. All right, so we've got our knocks. Yep, so we've got our knocks in there. Whoops, banging everything. You can see they're pretty well lined up. If they're not, you can come back and file them just a little bit more. Here you can notice this one looks a little bit lower than this one. So I can fix that real quick. So I'll just come in here and make this one match the other one. And now you can see we've got them matched up pretty good. So, all right, so let's go to the tillering rack. Now, you can buy a tillering board that you just put in a vise. They work very well. I built a wall tillering rack. I've got my draw lengths marked out on here, and I've also got lines that are parallel with one another. This way, when we start the tillering, I can make sure that both limbs are bending the same way. You notice I marked right and left, and I've got my center line. I've just found that it's very, very important to make sure that your bow goes in the tillering rack the same way every time. So you can mark top limb, bottom limb, whatever. I've got right and left because every time I put my bow in this tillering rack, I want it to go in the same way. That way I can see my bend. If you notice, I think I've got it in there right. We also want, now it's in there right, we should see pretty much the same distance from here to the bottom of the limb and from here to the bottom of the limb. Does that look pretty level, Bob?
Yep.
If it's not, you need to make it level, because if you start out tillering like that, then you're going to get a false reading.
And all you do that is just to make that
So I've got it,
square.
Bob.
If you notice what it's actually
I flattened
resting.
I flattened it off here. So I want my bow to go in that tillering rack and be level starting out. That way I can tell the bend.
Okay.
And then I've got my tillering string here. That's going to go on the bow. We'll hook it up to my pulley system here. We'll stand back, pull these limbs down, and start that tillering process. And we're going to, the whole tillering process, which we're going to go in depth with another video. But I just want to show you filing those nocks, and then whatever method you're using for tillering, you want to make sure that the bow starts out in there level to where you can see those bends of the limb during that process. So Bob and I will be back with you all with some tillering, some detailed tillering as we move through this bow making process.
But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, like this show, share it with somebody else that may like it. Okay. Just get out in the outdoors and have some fun. Thank you.